Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and Happy New Year. This is the Week 18 edition of Birds vs. Boys. Everyone is sick. No one is sleeping except for Saquon Barkley, who is putting out sleep ads directed right at the New York Giants, completely folding the franchise. The franchise he will not be playing against this Sunday. And Aidan, I'm sure you and I will get into discussions on that, as long as we don't have to talk about Ezekiel Elliott.
Deal.
How are you? Happy New Year. You look much more spry than me if you are watching on YouTube.
I am good. I am spry. All of those synonyms. The only reason, Happy New Year to you as well. Only reason why I'm sad, this is the Week 18 version of our show. I can't believe that we're here. As we're recording, the wind is howling. It's 36 degrees. Last week, we were talking about a game where I was outside wearing shorts, watching the game outside against the Saints all as well. They won. It was September. It was warm. I don't know what happened. I blinked, and now we're at the end. We're at the end. We're not even playing the starters. I don't even get to watch them one last time. So I'm sad in that sense. It flies by every year, and every year it gets me.
Yeah, and we are in completely different positions. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Eagles are in the position I believe you and I both picked them to be in. We actually need to, Aidan. We haven't gone back. We need to go back to, speaking of the beginning of the season, we need to go back to our preview show and see exactly how we did in each division, picking who was going to win, who was going to make the playoffs. I believe we both picked the Eagles to win this division, correct?
We did. So we're there, division champs. I think, if I remember correctly, I did pretty well. I did pretty well in the player awards, but that is still to come. So we'll have to revisit that the week before the Super Bowl, see how we did there. That's always a really fun thing to do. But again, I think I did that. You and I did that last month, not 4 months ago. I don't understand what happened. Where did the time go?
I live in time is not a real thing in my household. When you have two children under 3 years old, sickness, all that, time is not a real thing. So I don't know what has happened and where it's gone. And it's an interesting thought too, because I heard it on 105.3 The Fan yesterday. Somebody was saying this felt like an unbelievably quick Cowboys season, and others say it felt like forever. And it kind of feels like both for me. Like the Cleveland game feels like it was yesterday, but at the same time feels like it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And that game did feel like think of all that's happened since then. That was like the first Brady broadcast game. Browns, Cowboys, Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott were the starting quarterbacks. That was 4 months ago, not 3 years ago, like it feels like. It's crazy. Every single week, it got closer and closer to the end. And I don't know. I still don't know how we got here. I feel like every week something would add on. I'm like, oh, that happened last week. No, it's been 18 weeks ago since it happened. 18 weeks. 18. That's a lot of weeks.
And we have players playing or not playing, some being cut, i.e. Ezekiel Elliott, some being hurt, i.e. CeeDee Lamb. And then you have other teams that are not playing. They're good players because, well, they don't need to this week.
We don't need to, and let's get into it. I'm just going to come out and say my opinion on how the Eagles should handle Saquon. A lot of debate. Should he go for the rushing record? Should he just sit out, stay healthy for the playoff run as the 2 seed? Here is my plan for Saquon and the Eagles. You start him. You play him one play. You let him run the ball one time. And if it's a successful run, if you looked at the record books, he's actually 3 yards behind 2 guys. He's missing Chris Johnson by 1 yard right now. So if it's a successful run, he'll actually pass 2 more guys. Okay. That one runs over, one play, done. You pull him from the game, sub him out, full standing ovation from the crowd for Saquon, his 2,000-yard historic season for this franchise. You do it against his former team. One last, jab in the wound of letting him go here. Imagine an X where they glowed up so much that 65,000 people were cheering for their glow up in front of you. That's what the Giants would have to endure. It's perfect for Saquon. So that is my plan for Saquon Barkley on Sunday.
I kind of agree. I mean, not going to happen, not going to play. I am in full agreement of him not playing. I mean, there is something much bigger than this. And all the people that are saying, well, it's 18 games. Dickerson did it in less games. Yes, but Saquon, I believe, had less carries.
He does.
So, you can put the opportunities in 2 different ways there. It's, he had less carries and had it. But I do have one question about this game as well. Are you rooting for an Eagles loss this week? That just screws the Giants even more and bumps them even further out of it.
I've seen the future. I feel like, I don't know if we'd lose, to be honest with you. I think Tanner McKee's actually good.
Mm-hmm.
I have backup quarterback derangement syndrome that many of us here in Philadelphia have. I'm convinced Tanner McKee's good. I remember everyone in the preseason saying he was having a better camp than Kenny Pickett. I watched him come into this game on Sunday. He throws a good ball. He is good at sports. He is good at football. I think Tanner McKee's good. So I think the Eagles, I don't think they would get blown out. I don't know if they lose, but I've seen the future with the Giants. Are they getting a quarterback now? Probably not. But here, even worse, it is Mike all over again, because I watched Penn State against Boise State, and it took 2 series, and I was like, that's enough. I've seen enough. This game is over. It shouldn't even have been as close as it was, and they won by 17. Abdul Carter is going to end up on the Giants. It's going to be Micah Parsons and Dallas all over again, and I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be rooting against – I rooted against Saquon for years. I root against Micah. I have to root against Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter is going to be a Giant, win or lose, for the Giants on Week 18. And I am going to cry every week about it.
Hey, well, if you take the score out of the equation, Aidan, nothing matters. So
yeah. Micah technically, mathematically, was not incorrect, because he said it was about 5 plays that changed the game. Well, they lost by 34. That's 5 touchdowns. So technically speaking, there was 5 plays that changed the game. It was all 5 touchdowns that the Eagles scored that the Cowboys did not. It's math. That is a Harrisburg public school education if I've ever seen.
I was just like, I know what he's trying to say. And I think he's also was trying to throw shade at Andrew Booth without saying his name, because he was just horrendous in that game. And Cooper Rush wasn't too good either. And that's the fact again. It's like, do they just not want to put Trey Lance out there because they're hoping to re-sign him and he's going to be a free agent and they don't want anyone to see him? Like, it's just outrageous that he got in with like 2 minutes left.
You know what it probably is? His inability to throw the football.
He's just that bad?
Yes.
Yes, that too.
That can play a big factor in him.
There is that as well. It is interesting, just everything in terms of this weekend, that, things are wrapped up for you. Things are not fully wrapped up for me yet in terms of draft, but it's still going to be fun, right? In terms of 1 seed. It's just crazy that there could be a 14-win team dropping all the way down to the 5 seed.
I think this might be the best, and this is saying something because we've had some good ones. The best Sunday Night Football Week 18 or 17 game that we've had. It's the best season finale Sunday Night Football game that we've had. And we are 2 years removed from the Raiders and Chargers playing out the prisoner theory in real time during a Sunday Night Football season finale that I don't believe any of us still to this day can't believe that fourth quarter happened, where the Chargers and Justin Herbert converted on 4th down about 26 times during that game to just save it, only for their coach to ruin it and go against the theory and pull the trigger first. Crazy. And yeah, you're right. A 2 14-2 games. I do think there's more intrigue at least in the Cowboys-Commanders game. I don't think it's a guaranteed lock that the Commanders are playing 100% effort. So I don't think it's a 100% chance that they'll beat the Cowboys, because I think the Cowboys are still doing this whole win one for the Gipper routine, which is, you're right. It's just stupid. But still, so I think they'll try hard. And that could land the Commanders back in the 7th seed, and that means back in Philadelphia. So there's intrigue there from both of our perspectives. Will the Eagles end up with the Packers or the Commanders? That's up to Cooper Rush of the Cowboys.
I also believe the way is the 2 seed. I think the 2 seeds almost better than the 1 seed of who, Packers, Commanders, both unbelievably beatable. Both have been beaten by you. Also lost to the Commanders. However, this is a different ball game. Jalen Hurts will be back, and I say it almost every year. No one's walking into Philly and winning in the playoffs. don't believe it until I see it.
Me and my friends have talked about this recently since we won the division, and like, who would you rather play? I say this in just like the ultimate compliment to the Eagles is doesn't matter. Like, I just have full faith in this team.
Don't do what the Cowboys did last year, Aidan.
I know. Well, I was going to say that. I was like, listen, the Packers could walk in here in a week and treat us the way they treated you in the wild card round last year. Totally could happen. But like, if we're like splitting hairs between Commanders, Falcons, Buccaneers, Rams, whoever else, like, Vikings, I'll take my chances. Like, it got to the point this year where I was like, yeah, as the season progressed, I was like, we could go into Ford Field. We could go into Ford Field and compete. And I didn't believe that earlier in the season. By the end, I was like, yeah, we could. So it's just like anything can happen. You could have your quarterback knocked out of the wild card round in 3 plays by Jadeveon Clowney and your season's over. So anything can happen. But I'm almost not too worried about the opponent because I'm just like, who knows? Like, it could be anybody. I will say this about the Commanders. In Philadelphia, the only thing that gives me hesitancy, we just did the thing in another sport where a division rival has been this lovable loser for decades that never has any success. And they showed up one day and became the team of destiny and should have lost a million times before they even made it to the point of playing us in the opening round of the playoffs. But they didn't, and they continued on this miraculous journey. And we were not only against talent, but we had to defeat the ultimate vibes and prophecy and destiny team. It did not work for the Phillies. I'm worried that the Commanders are just the Mets, where it's just like, it doesn't matter on paper how much talent they have. We're just doing the same song and dance as the Phillies have to put up with.
Yep. And Jaden Daniels is real. I'll say that. So
yeah.
it's everything's
Jaden
ratcheted
Daniels
up.
is
Obviously,
Francisco Lindor. It's just that Commanders don't have a McDonald's character that they are propping up.
I don't know. They have that. Remember that song that they had a couple years ago, like when they became the Commanders?
They still have it. They played at the state.
Do they really?
Can confirm.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was a banger too.
It was.
Speaking of McDonald's, were you too young for the Burger King ad? Because they talked about it on the radio the other day. Remember, it was like a Christmas ad. It's like, ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done. Was that way before you? It was like,
no, I do remember that. I do remember that.
I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I totally forgot
work
about
at Burger
that.
King.
No. Well,
completely forgot.
People were
raised
on
the radio
Whopper.
Yeah.
This is that we were raised on that.
And now I've been saying it for a week straight. But
you know what's my favorite? Real quick, can I tell you my favorite Christmas commercial? The Corona one where they just light up the palm tree with Christmas lights on that house singing a song.
Yeah.
My favorite one. They don't change it any year. It's the last pure thing we have in this world.
There's three of those that have been around forever. And I said this to my wife a couple weeks ago. These companies got every penny out of their ads and they've been around forever. It's that one. It's the M&M's one where they walk in and they're like, he does exist. He's like, they do exist. That one. And then the Hershey's Kiss one where they're just like as a bell ringing. Ding, ding.
Oh, yes.
That
yes,
one.
I do.
Those three have been around since I was like 7 years old.
And also, just for the Pennsylvania people, the Pennsylvania lottery one has also been around. Yes. Happy holidays, Rita.
So good. So good. Also, speaking of you mentioned going into Ford Field with the Eagles. That matchup is so intriguing, not for the players on the field, but Sirianni and Campbell. I think there would be 17 times where everyone's like, punt the ball, and both teams are just going to go for it. There's never no one's going to punt.
I don't think anybody would punt. I really don't.
Just go.
Hammer down. And they would try to create. They're trying fake punts, onside kicks. I have the wide receivers lined up on every kick, but just waiting for it. And by the way, in terms of when we lost that game to the Commanders, I said before the playoffs there are certain things that we need to tweak. We are in a really good spot. Tough loss, but certain things to tweak. One of those being the kickoffs. We got to have kickoff touchbacks. We can't be giving teams in the NFL that are good possession at the 40 because of our kickoff coverage. They switched to Jake Elliott, who the theory was he wasn't struggling with field goal kicks because he wasn't doing kickoffs and he's on the field less. He comes in and it's a touchback on every single one. So
Yep.
where was this the whole year? Why wasn't he just the kickoff guy?
Yep. Doesn't make sense.
So I think we fixed that problem. I don't know why we created that in the first place, but I'm happy that we got it solved. I think Jake Elliott's the guy, and yeah,
And
little things make the difference.
And if you do go into Ford Field, right, we've seen what the Lions do. Penei Sewell is catching passes. Skipper is or is not reporting eligible at times, trying to catch 2-point conversions. If I am the Eagles, I am shoving it down their throat, and Jordan Mailata is catching a touchdown pass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Get him, get the ball in his hands. He's a rugby player who's bigger than everybody.
One of these times we got to try it. We got to try it. We should use Cooper DeJean on offense too. He's
Mailata's got to have good hands for a rugby player.
Yeah, or even let him be in the backfield. Let him take a jet. Let Mailata take a jet sweep and see who's getting in the way of that.
Just it would just be so funny watching like a safety in 3 corners just literally hanging on him, and he looks like Maui from Moana just walking down the field into the end zone.
Yeah, that literally happened with Penei Sewell. They gave it to him. He was supposed to throw it, and the guy wasn't open, so he started running and just shoved the guy into the ground. Yeah, do that with Mailata. I do think if you watch that Monday Night Football game, I don't have any hate in my body for the Lions. Their defense, just like everybody else has said, worries me. Man, they tightened up big time in the second half. That first half, that game started, and the ball didn't hit the ground for either quarterback.
It looks like Anzalone could play this weekend, so he's going to be back. Their linebacker who's been out with a broken arm. So they may get somewhat healthy. I know that there's still talk that like Hutchinson could come back for the Super Bowl. I just don't. I saw his leg snap in half.
That one, I have more hope in Montgomery coming back for them than I do Aidan Hutchinson, based on the way his leg was moving when he got his final sack of the season, because it wasn't going the same direction as the rest of his body. So optically,
the earth was moving this way, and his leg was moving that way.
He was going against the grain. His body, rest of the world, laterally. He was going longitude.
All right, let's sneak into the Cowboys a little bit here. And I know I said not to talk about Ezekiel Elliott, but it's so funny. Like I said it before it even happened. I said it was going to happen before it happened. I said he was going to be 15. I said he was going to stink. It all happened. And now a week before the final game where he could, I think he's 1 touchdown away from the touchdown record as a Cowboy, which Tony Dorsett has. So he was like 1 away, and everyone's like, "You got to get it at Cowboys Stadium his last game." Obviously that's not happening. They release him in the hopes that he can sign on with a playoff team. And I'm seeing all these tweets about that the Eagles need to sign him for debt. And I'm like, why? Kenny Gainwell has looked very good as a backup. Will Shipley, I know he's had the concussion. His stock has been extremely high since he was drafted. Why would you bring someone who is washed? And listen, Jay Tuck, I love you, and we got to get Jay Tuck on. I don't know if you've been seeing his tweets. He is the last man standing, and just will not give up on Zeke. Which power to you, Tuck, and I love you, but I don't understand this one. Like 3.1 yards a carry, his worst of his career. He literally got benched for a game and didn't travel with the team because he's missing meetings and just doesn't seem he's done. Guys, it's okay for it to be over. It was over 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Let it be. He was good.
He'll be a great edit, like on the TikToks when they're like that song, and it's always like a like a player that you grew up on. He'll be great in those, and we'll remember the good times. But you're right, it definitely is over. In terms of him coming to the Eagles, I have no idea why. Like that makes absolutely no sense for any party involved. He wouldn't play. Like if he's playing in a playoff game for the Eagles, we have much larger problems because Saquon is. I would put his position in terms of like running back as demigod who can do everything. And then I can't believe I talked about this guy, Kenny Gainwell. I almost said Wendell Smallwood. My brain I got so many Eagles running backs floating around up there. It's all Eagles running backs and sometimes remembering to breathe. He is our short yard, not our short yards back, our 2-minute back and pass catcher out of the backfield. We don't really have a goal line back the way the Cowboys have been utilizing Zeke Elliott because we just tush push. So our goal line back is Jalen Hurts. So there really is no room for him. Like, I don't know what purpose, like what role would he have? And he wouldn't play special teams, and Shipley plays special teams. So you'd be taking Shipley off the field as one of your kick returners.
Makes zero sense. Like, I was going through some of the playoff teams, like, I don't know, maybe the Lions without Montgomery.
I was going to say, so he could take Montgomery's role, kind of. They're not going to split.
But not at all. Montgomery's still good.
Oh, my God. Jahmyr Gibbs, by the way, fantasy has come to an end. Makes me so sad. It grew our TikTok exponentially, by the way, so it's very bad that it's over.
I might have to get back into fantasy next year just for that.
Yes, I was going to say we'll do a league with fantasy with people from our TikTok. We'll put that on the ideas list. Jahmyr Gibbs is fucking awesome. Every week he would get you a touchdown, 80+ yards. First game without David Montgomery. 117 yards rushing, touchdown, a steal a game. He had 80 yards receiving. He was just everywhere. He was awesome. So Zeke would get 4 carries, but he can get something. And they don't even need him because your guy, Kutztown's finest, Craig Reynolds, came in. Exactly. It was great.
Exactly. Thank you. So it's like, where else? I don't know. Like, Packers to back up Jacobs. I don't. Vikings to back up Aaron Jones. It just seems like if he's going to sign somewhere, it's going to be a practice squad deal like Daniel Jones did. And why? Like, if you were a playoff team right now, chances are, I mean, the Eagles were a playoff team last year and the vibes couldn't be lower, but chances are the vibes are high in every locker room right now for playoff team. Why are you going to bring Zeke Elliott into that? It just doesn't. I don't know. I get it, and all the people, some Cowboys fans with the DC4L in their timelines, they're like, "Oh, this is horrible. Why would Jerry do that?" Listen, this came from Zeke. This came from his agent. They asked to be released so he could have a chance to get down on his knees and beg Jeffrey Lurie for him to sign for $2 just so he can get a ring. That's what this is. That's all it is. He never should have come back. It was a joke. Been a joke. And what even is more a joke is it took like 11 weeks for the Cowboys to finally be like, yeah, Rico Dowdle's our starter. And then they give him the opportunity that he should have had from week 1. And now he's literally, I think, 1 yard away from having the most yards any running back in the Cowboys have had in like 6 years. Yeah, imagine if they had just given him those carries from day 1.
Yeah. Yeah. He went over 1,000 yards and wasn't the full back like all year long.
So that just right there again shows me the lack of everything from the front office to Mike McCarthy. And listen, Mike is going to be back is going to be the head coach next year. I just don't know if it's Mike McCarthy, Mike Vrabel, or Mike Zimmer. But Mike is going to be a head coach for the Cowboys next year.
You will have a Mike Jordan, Mike Jones, Mike Jackson.
I mean, I am hoping for a change. I am hoping for like a Mike Vrabel. But the funny part too is now everybody's like, well, what if Mike McCarthy doesn't want to come back? And you hear it like Schefter put something out and like Glazer put something out. And you know that's coming from McCarthy's team, because if everybody forgets, the only reason he got the Cowboys job, the Cowboys got duped by remember his whole media campaign where he locked himself in the room and watched every second of film and he was doing this with this guy and this guy. Now he's trying to create the narrative like, oh, so the teams out there that kind of want me. And hey, listen, maybe the Jets do because they interviewed him last time and they're interviewing Rex Ryan and they're interviewing Ron Rivera. So it very well could be that the Jets want Mike McCarthy. And if you do, congratulations, have him.
That campaign you brought up should be taught in the history books in terms of marketing, because he just did what like I do, which was lock himself away and watch Red Zone for 8 hours. And no one's ever asked me to be head coach of a football team.
After he said that he watched every second of film, right, of Dak Prescott and the video, and he literally said it at his press conference, like, oh, I was joking. I didn't watch every snap.
Just joshing.
If I was Jerry right there, I'm like, you're fired. You're out. But, they interviewed Mike McCarthy and Marvin Lewis. That was the extent of the search.
And one of those was because they legally were required to.
Mm-hmm.
It was a workaround.
I can't wait if they get rid of Mike. They're going to interview. If they get rid of Mike McCarthy, they're going to interview probably Vrabel because they have to, and I would hope it would be Vrabel. Robert Saleh, probably Pete Carroll, and Ron Rivera.
Cool. I have one for you that's crazy, but it's Cowboys, and he's a name hot in the streets right now. You know who they're going to interview? John Gruden.
Yeah. I didn't put Gruden on there. You're right. Yes, and Gruden. Yep.
They're going to interview.
I could see him actually becoming the head coach.
Yeah.
If they don't bring Mike back, that's a big name. Yep.
We talk about this all the time, and I once again wanted to congratulate you on the Netflix documentary. I know everyone in Dallas is very excited for it. Ratings. It's great shows on Netflix. You, Outer Banks, the Dallas Cowboys documentary. This will be huge for you guys. Winning the division, I'm excited, but could you imagine an Eagles documentary on Netflix? There's nothing more ratings than them bringing in John Gruden after he's been pretty prevalent on social media this past season.
Yep. That makes perfect sense. And there's talk about Zimmer also, he's really come on. The defense has come on the second half, but there's talk now that he just might be done. Like he came back and he apparently is just exhausted. And he's an older guy, and he's got doesn't he have like a 25-year-old girlfriend? So she probably exhausts him enough.
What is this trend? Oh, he was the original guy before Belichick. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I remember he had the eye patch too. He had eye surgery, and he missed a game. He had an eye patch, and then he was like with a swimsuit model. Everyone's like, "What is going on right now?"
Unbelievable.
So he could just be done. But my only ask is if they do bring Mike back, I need someone else scheming and playing the calls, making the calls. It's got to go back to Mike being CEO Mike. And because his, some of these concepts are ancient. You see how wide their formations are, the widest formations run in the NFL, where you see like teams like the Niners who have been good on offense. They run such tight sets. We need forward thinking. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I agree. Yeah. Welcome to 2025. First show of 2025. Good place to start with forward thinking. I totally agree.
And please lose the game on Sunday so we can have a chance to jump back in the top 10.
Yes. Well, if Abdul Carter ends up on the Cowboys, that'll be even worse. Him and Mike go together. Damn it.
They have a lot of holes to fill. Well, I think DeMarcus Lawrence will be gone. So, and Oso Digizua is going to be gone too. So their D-line is going to be ravaged. Speaking of D-lines being ravaged, the funniest thing of all time is now Fowler having the most sacks in the NFC East this year for the Commanders after the Cowboys.
Does he really? I didn't know that.
10.5 sacks.
10.5. Good for him. Mm-hmm. Josh Sweat, Pro Bowler.
Yep. I think he was third or fourth in sacks in the NFC East.
Was he?
I think it was Sweat, and then it was Micah, and then I think it was Dexter Lawrence, and then I think it was Sweat.
Makes sense. I forgot to mention this, but another good Jerry Jones thing that ties our teams back together.
There's no good Jerry Jones things that haven't happened since the 90s.
Yes. His comment, the fans heckling him, saying he did a great job this year and to keep it up. And I totally agree. I totally agree with the mindset that the Cowboys have. And there are some prospects I want to send your way that are not Abdul Carter. But him coming out after that and being like, well, yeah, but the Eagles there's a price to pay for all these contracts. Like the Piper's coming for the Eagles. It's like, do you understand cap math at all? Like that comment tells me everything I need to know about the trajectory of those two franchises.
Well, because he even says, like, well, they're paying the quarterback now.
Yeah, kind of. But if you look at quarterback salaries, aren't you paying more? Aren't the Bengals paying more? Aren't the Ravens paying more? Aren't the Bills paying more? The Chiefs are not even paying the most for Patrick Mahomes. It's like, you don't got it. Nothing is more you don't got it than comments like that, especially considering like the Eagles and where they're at today isn't because they paid a bunch of money for the quarterback. It's because they didn't even take risks on their draft picks. Jalen Carter, Pro Bowler, it fell to them at 10. They traded up to 9.
Yep.
And like everyone was like, yeah, this kid's the best in the draft. We just got some character concerns. But yeah, he'll be like a surefire Hall of Famer in the right spot. Deal done. Quinyon Mitchell, everyone's like, hey, he's the best corner in the draft. Everyone needed a tackle, so 18 of those guys went. I picked 22. We get Quinyon. Everyone, first round draft on grade on Cooper DeJean. He falls to 40, and we take it. It's not like we're doing crazy things. We signed Saquon Barkley. Aside from that, we need a high spend. Like, we drafted Devontae, Dallas Goedert, Mulatto we found on the bargain bin in fucking TJ Maxx, Australia, and we have an all-pro left tackle now. Like, none of these things we spent money
on. You forgot about the law firm of Smith and Smith, where the Cowboys went with the wrong Smith, and then the Eagles got the right Smith.
Devontae Smith?
Nope, other Smith.
Who's our other Smith?
No, Nolan. And we got Mozzie. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Smith and Smith. Smith and Dean.
Mm-hmm. Remember we were watching the draft together. And I was like, it's got to be. It's Nolan Smith. It's Nolan Smith. Here we go. Nolan Smith. It's gonna be Nolan Smith. I was like, Mozzie Smith. Okay.
Those clips to this day are some of our most watched on YouTube and TikTok.
Yep. And I will say, he is
okay, Mozzie Smith, and then me freaking out because it's Nolan Smith.
It's just unbelievable.
And yeah, also our big spending free agency, we gave a few shekels to Zach Bond, who now is getting talk of defensive player of the year. So Jerry Jones, continue to not understand the salary cap, and we'll keep doing this.
We got Eric Kendricks.
He was good.
Yeah, he's played a decent year this year. But it's I'm exhausted, Aidan. They exhaust me.
Yeah.
They exhaust everything out of me. And the worst part is, there's a lot of apathy, and that's the worst that could be. And that's kind of how I have felt this year. Like I haven't gotten angry during one game. I haven't thrown things. I haven't yelled. I've just been like, okay.
Worst spot to be in.
Yeah, it really is. I feel like a 76ers fan.
We're in the same spot. Although they're playing. Don't now.
Here we go.
I won't. They're pulling me back in.
See, I can see it. I can see it coming now. For somehow the Eagles make it to the NFC Championship game, but lose in a fashion that something freak happened. But the Sixers are on a 6-game winning streak, and Aidan is down. But then the Sixers bring him back to life, only to shove him back into the ground a couple weeks later.
Yep, and then Maxey will sprain an ankle 2 weeks later, and they're like, well, at least it's spring training time. I have my hopes up, and then something will happen to the Phillies. And I just go and it's cyclical. It's a cyclical sickness that I have in Philadelphia sports, and it'll all be cured by Tanner McKee.
Tell me, you could have guaranteed a Super Bowl this year.
Yes.
Okay. Done. Okay. But
you're not me that you're going to hit me with a guaranteed another one. After, I wouldn't care.
Okay. But you're not guaranteed another one. Or you don't get the Super Bowl and you're guaranteed an NBA championship and at least 2 NBA championships and at least 2 World Series in the next 10 years.
Well, I take the second one. And the Phillies, though, I love the Eagles with all my heart. If I got a Phillies World Series with this core, if I got 2, man, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's hard and especially when you're in it, right? Like I'm like, when the Yankees win the World Series, I was like, I'll give up the whole Cowboy season for this World Series, and then they don't win it. I'm like, I was just kidding.
Just joking. On to the next sport. Big day for you, by the way. Well, we could have our 2 teams playing each other. Well, listen, we still make content out of this. Football will be ending, but we'll do Irish versus Lions podcast.
I'm nervous. I I
I'm
think Notre
nervous
Dame
about
can
the
win this
whole
game.
thing.
Yeah. Oof, God. And yeah, speaking of rest in peace to all, that was horrifying. And did you see former Princeton wide receiver Tiger? Forget his last name. Passed away.
Beck, I think. Yeah, that's crazy.
Just I can't even put into words. And then you see people are like you can't believe they postponed the game. It's like, shut up. Okay. It's not about the game. There was no chance they could have that game yet last night. None.
They were like still trying to figure out if there were extra explosives around the city.
Yeah.
Like, what would be the number one place to put one? The stadium. Like,
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And then people complaining that it was moved to 4:00 today rather than 8:45, which I am so happy about because I can't. When I saw the 8:40, I was like 8:45.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I heard. Yeah, in the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl. At time does not exist in Pasadena, California. That game lasts 5 hours every single year. And then the Sugar Bowl starts at like 9:00, so then it's always going till midnight. But I heard the teams pushed for it to be at 4:00.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, because if you're starting at 8:45, you're not getting home until I mean, I might even have my team stay again at that point. You know what I mean? And it's just and then you're prepping for a game where Penn State now has 3 days on you of rest.
True. They need it because future New York Giant Abdul Carter got hurt. What are the Giants going to do?
I think Notre Dame can match up well. Now they lost another defensive line. They're starting tackle who leads in sacks. Riley Mills won't be playing, so another defensive player down. Now, obviously, Beck is out, so Stockton's going to step in at Georgia. But I watched an interview with Nick Saban, and he knows this kid and has watched him play since he was 7 years old. So that scares me. He knows exactly who he is. I'm like, yep, this kid's going to step in and throw for 475 yards.
This goes one of two ways. Notre Dame overwhelms them up front, which I think they can do. I think Penn State and Notre Dame both have chances to win the championship because they can overwhelm you with their defensive front. Or this kid just dominates college football starting today for the next 3 years.
Yep.
There's no in between.
Nope, not at all. And I just know my former fate when you're going up against big SEC names, and it's normally not good. But hey, this is a Marcus Freeman era, so things are different.
Well,
I love him.
College football is different.
Yeah, so much fun. And I just don't see all 4 of the top 4 teams losing. Also, don't like that.
Texas got close. Oh boy,
Scattaboo.
He's a dog.
Huh?
He's a dog.
Yeah.
I like him.
Dude, he ran for like 144, had 99 reception yards, and then threw a touchdown.
Yeah, I turned the game on late, and they were like, he has more yards. It was like the fourth quarter. He's like, he has more yards than Texas right now. The whole team.
Meanwhile, he was like throwing up on the sideline after the first quarter. Crazy.
Unreal.
All right, so it's going to be a fun weekend, even though, you're kind of locked away. Cowboys are fighting for a draft pick. But there are intriguing games and matchups, and I think we should end it on this. The hopes and dreams of about 4 teams stand on the shoulders of one Carson Wentz.
And I wouldn't have it any other way, baby. Yeah. I can't wait to see Carson playing again. Oh, my God. I might buy an NFL Sunday ticket for the last week just to watch my boy. It feels good to be back. You can do this, Carson. You got it. We all believe in you. And by we, I mean me, mostly me, but we got this, brother. We got it.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the last weekend of the NFL until the playoffs start. Cowboys fans, this is it. This long but quick, ugly ride concludes on Sunday. And we will find out our placement, not our seeding, because we're not seeded anywhere in the playoffs, but our placement in the NFL draft. And my last thing I would like to say to all of you losers and haters, and yes, I still have the receipts that came at me on Twitter, X, whatever it is, in the summer when I put out that the Cowboys would not make the playoffs and 8 and 9 would probably be their best hope. And all of you that came at me like, oh, it's easy 12-win season. It's not that you're a loser. You don't know anything. You don't watch football. What happened? everything I said was going to happen. Okay. They stink. It needs to change now. Okay.
Have you seen our NFC East schedule for next year?
Mm-hmm.
Dear Lord. Please
I
win
mean-
the Super Bowl this year.
They got to play the Chiefs and the
Uh-huh.
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 I think the Chiefs actually come to Dallas, which is a good thing. But yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's only going to get a little bit harder for you as the one winning the division too.
We get the North and the West, and then we play the first place schedule.
Yep.
Boy.
It's all there in front of you right now. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If it's your first time here on YouTube, where have you been? Make sure you smash that subscribe button before you leave. Like and comment below. And everywhere you are on social media, we are there as well. TikTok, hopefully for a little bit longer, because Aidan is doing amazing things on there. I still don't have the password to log in. So Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, Birds vs. Boys Pod, and anywhere you listen to podcasts as well, Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher still around, Birds vs. Boys Pods. You will get full episodes there, lots of breakdown. Even if the Eagles lose in week 1, this podcast doesn't stop. Well, it may stop for a week because Aidan.
My life might.
Yeah. So, but we will continue through the playoffs. And then after the Super Bowl, hopefully for my sake, we're not at a Super Bowl parade in Philadelphia. But then we will get into draft talk, which is one of our favorite times of the year. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Happy New Year. Be safe. Go Irish. We'll see.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upside alert. Upside alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there. There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach.
That is?
Be the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.